Well, David Watts is here in the studio. We're going to be talking about what's going on in the schools as far as tables concerned. And I've got to say, I'm not good at following these sort of things. But David, you are a genius at the way you present this. But let's do the overview first of all. There's something in the papers this week about it as well. You've gone for some freedom of information requests about what's going on in the schools, how they're rated and that sort of thing. And this is information that you had to go for freedom of information, I understand. It wasn't in the public domain first. So let's start with that. How much digging, why, and what did you find overall?
Yes, Paul. Well, okay, first of all, the Department of Education produced GCSE result data, so you can get a good feeling for secondary schools on the island and how they're performing against each other. But what you cannot do is for primary schools. So I've used a series of freedom of information requests, as have other individuals, and asking how primary schools are performing at Year 6. What levels the children are leaving primary school with.
And you have an interest in this because you've got school?
I have two children who are currently in Key Stage 3. I'm particularly interested in last year because my youngest daughter completed her primary education in July 2017.
Okay, well, we saw the overview headlines in the papers. Just remind us what the sort of headline stuff was.
Well, basically the headline stuff is we are underperforming against England, as far as we can tell. The trouble is England and the Isle of Man used roughly the same system up until 2015. Then England changed their primary curriculum. It's a lot stronger than ours now. They do long division and multiplication at primary level. They do relative clauses. They even do the subjunctive form in Year 6, whereas we don't do anything like that. And England now assess their pupils using a different method. But up until 2015, we both used national curriculum levels. Now, the department may say our syllabus is different to theirs, but at the end of the day, Paul, 7 times 8 is 56. In Douglas, I hope it's the same in Ballasalla. A metaphor is a metaphor, whether it's in Birmingham or Ballasalla.
Right. So different ways, but you can still make some assumptions.
You can still make some assumptions. You can make some assumptions. They're crude. They're not perfect. There are flaws.
Would you like to see the government just release this information?
Release information, because remember, this information for last year was only released after the applicant went to the Information Commissioner and the department were directed to release the information.
So they didn't want it to come out?
They didn't. Well, obviously not.
No. PAG involved in this. I think it's on the website. All the information.
All my tables, right? All my work, including a briefing paper which goes with them, are on the Positive Action Group website. Okay.
Well, we're going to take you through 7 tables. We've digitised these so we can put them into forms we can put on the screen. So over to you. I mean, again, what screams out when we look at this first one, for instance, table 1?
I've done it by subject, actually, Paul. So let's look at maths, for instance. And for your viewers, when they go on the PAG website, they're able to read it in slow time. But talking through, we can see that some schools are performing exceptionally well, some not so, obviously. Yeah. What I've assessed is level 5. And I must explain what that is, first of all.
Please.
A child is expected to reach level 4 by the end of primary school. That is the level the UK government said should be the minimum a child should attain. Now, I'm not interested in minimum standards. I think as a jurisdiction, if we want to aspire to have a world-class education system, which is the vision of the department, then we should be looking at a slightly higher level than level 4. So let's look at level 5, because, for example, in reading, in level 5, half the English students in 2015 reached that level. So It puts that into context of how demanding a level it really is.
I suppose when you've got reading like English like that sort of thing, certain schools are going to have more foreign students.
Of course they are.
And that will skew things, will it?
Of course it will. For instance, if you look at the results from Henry Bloom Noble, which has a high percentage of children with English as additional language, their literacy figures are not so good.
Right.
But some schools have 0 English foreign language students or English as additional language students, and their results are quite frankly damning. But we'll go through. We'll go through them.
I mean, who's doing well on that one, for instance?
Well, let's look at maths, for instance. The island average was 34% of pupils reached level 5, i.e., the one level above the minimum. So the top 3 in this table are Foxdale, Ballaugh, and Doon, all small schools. Foxdale only has 5 pupils, so you may expect that.
5 pupils.
5 pupils in Year 6.
Okay.
So all 5 of them got it. So 100% there. Ballaugh, 2/3 of their pupils reach level 5. School Valadjilt, which is a school I really want to single out for doing some outstanding work when we come to other tables.
That's come up, high on your tables.
That comes high. That has a class size of 30, 17 reached level 5 there. So that's 61%. The last figures in England, 2015, remember, were 42%, so well above there. But only 10 schools were above the English last comparable average. Some schools, Manor Park, not one child reached level 5. St Mary's Roman Catholic School, only 4 out of 34. That equates to just under 12%. Now, St Mary's Roman Catholic, again, has a high proportion of children with English as additional language. So for those children, if they reach level 4, the minimum standard, that might still be a good achievement. But at the end of the day, these tables, and I've done them for maths, for science, for reading, for writing, give parents the opportunity to look and in slow time assess it. And also within those tables, Paul, I must say, there's a contextual table at the end which lists for each school the number of pupils or percentage of pupils on free school meals, because there is a link with free school meals and attainment, the number of students who have special educational needs. For instance, at Derby, 47% of the school roll are classed as having 47.6% have special educational needs at one end of the scale. Ballaugh, the other end, which features high, only 1.5% of the school roll, but the school roll at Ballaugh is 68.
Are we making assumptions though from just seeing figures like that, or is that
I've done this purely for parents, because I trust parents to be empowered to do
make an informed decision.
To make an informed decision. Otherwise, you get anecdotal talk at the school gate. And
you're going to have a lot of people moaning, saying that what on earth he's saying.
You've got to take them into context. Yeah. I think parents, those are enough that are savvy enough, and those enough that who are clever, not clever enough, those who care enough and are interested in attainment. Attainment isn't the be-all and end-all. Life skills, personal qualities are very important, Paul, but high academic attainment and good life skills, good manners, good behaviour are not mutually exclusive, in my opinion.
The government have a website, bestowing how wonderful the Isle of Man is to move here and get great education. Is this saying something else?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I've got a paper here, the advice for parents relocating to the island.
Oh, is this from government?
This is from the government website. Okay. It doesn't mentions anything about academic attainment in primary schools. How does the standard of education in the Isle of Man compare with that in the UK, is the question asked. And it goes on about recent investment, about new junior and secondary schools. The island has a music service with orchestras and bands, but nothing about primary school and attainment. And then when it comes to secondary school, it just says the island's pass rate usually compares favourably with that of the UK. Is that really going to attract you? Now, if you're a parent in Birmingham wanting to move to the Isle of Man, you can go on the Compare Government website in the UK and get any set of data for your school that you want. Financial information, Ofsted reports, academic attainments, but you cannot get that for your schools here.
How much digging did you have to do on that?
Oh, it's been tortuous and a long process. I've been doing freedom of information questions since January last year when they came out, having to get the contextual data, because I don't want to just put out a series of tables and say, School Valajult is top for this, Manor Park is bottom, because you've got to take the context data, and that's why it's important that parents do read that and read my...
I think the headline in the newspaper sort of screams things like that, doesn't it?
Of course it will.
Because it's just making a very...
and there are problems with comparing with England. But bearing in mind now, England have a different primary curriculum, so their higher level is higher than our higher level.
Okay, let's move on. We've got lots of... We'll probably do a few sections here. Should we move on to the next table, if we may? Sorry if I'm rushing you too much, but what's this one?
Writing is a fascinating one, actually. Top performing school, School Valajult.
It's one of your star ones.
Now, writing is one of the hardest topics for children to get at Key Stage 2. They normally perform lower averages than that. So in England, last comparable average, 2015, 36% of children reached level 5. In the Isle of Man, only 27.2%. Right. And we've been pretty consistent over 4 years. We've never ever matched England's levels under the old system from 2013, which is the data I've got. We've always lagged behind. We've always played catch up.
Has it ever been worth looking what goes on the Channel Islands? Because I know they've had issues with
Channel
teaching
Islands
down there.
Is difficult because they have a lot. Their system is even harder to compare in many ways, because they have a lot of private schools there and a lot of things.
Okay. I know they've had a lot of issues with.
And I would say I have focused on England state-funded schools. So before I get accused of using England independent schools or private schools, I haven't. But what really is surprising here, School Valajult is top. St Thomas's is bottom. Now, how often do you hear School Valajult and St Thomas's in the same sentence?
Well, they go together, right?
They're going together.
Now, that's going to be fascinating then in a year's time, isn't it? Once you get next level data.
Well,
if you never get it more, because I mean, the freedom of information seems to be hidden now from the government website to some degree. I mean, I know it's coming back.
It's coming
certainly
back. You've got to dig.
Somebody has decided they don't want information out there as much.
They have, and I'm going to continue to do these. I'm going to continue to produce tables. I'm going to try and refine them. I hope the department take the lead actually and do it. Produce one themselves.
But that is fascinating.
Let me show you the writing one though, Paul, because School Valajult, 66.7%, 2/3. So 20 out of 30 of the pupils there reach level 5 in writing. Fantastic. That is really good, because writing is the hardest one to do. Yes. St Thomas's was joint bottom, actually, with Laxey. Laxey got one child. Laxey got one child reached level 5.
I thought Laxey
26 in a class, 30 in a class at school. So pretty similar class sizes.
Yes.
Okay, now if we look at LACSI's contextual data, we see that only 4% of the school have English as additional language, for instance.
Right.
Only 5.8% of the school have special educational needs. So is it a reflection of the teaching there? I'm just asking the question, and I think parents will be asking the question.
You're opening a can of worms on this one.
But let's go for St Thomas's School. Not one child there received level 5 in writing. 9 pupils, small class size. Now, of course, that will probably be a mixed class size because when the classes get too small, they mix year groups. That'll be a 5 and 6, but not one there.
Right. Let's take a break. We've got more to do. I say we've got 7 in total. We'll have another section in just a moment here on MTTV.